Hello. How y'all doing? I hope whoever watches this, whenever you watch it, if you ever watch it, if anyone ever watches anything I post, that you will feel blessed and loved. If you've been following in any sort of order of my videos, you probably could think, man, he's awesome or crazy, confused, a little bit of both. Yes, I'd probably say so to myself. I think in the end, yeah, you have to ask people, what justifies your aggression? Does someone saying something give you the right to become physically abusive? Maybe sometimes, mostly not, but maybe sometimes. And, you kind of get these deals with the Libertarian Party. It's almost like anything goes whatsoever, or anarchy, no structure whatsoever. Now, that's some people's idea of it. Obviously, people that are smarter realize that we live in a world that needs structure. The government is just a company, it's just a business, and it needs to vastly be redone. I would not abolish government because the government is just how things get done. Clean water, well, we have to have people working on clean water. Roads, well, people working on roads. The amount of waste, I would get rid of all public money that is given to people. It's not the job of the government to steal money to give money to other people. That may sound hard for some, but the reality is this. It comes down to this. Getting rewarded from taxation takes away that person's ability to pay you to work for them. You have this guy over here, he works 80 hours, making a minimum wage. He's taking maybe 30% of what he makes to take from him to pay someone here that doesn't have a job, can't find a job. And so this man who barely makes it and works his ass off has now become the slave of this person. Not because this person's evil, but because the structure is evil. Now this man could be paying him directly to benefit both him and this guy, and they both have better dignity and their lives would be better. The problem is that thievery takes away from job creation. Theft, which is taxation, takes away from job creation. So what do we do? There's only one real big reason for government, and that's safety, is sanitation, and health, and making sure that we have a form of justice, which is protection, the best we can. Lastly, we can't sue our ways to make people come back to life. We really have to rethink what we can sue. Because death happens, drowning happens. If your kid's going out and you guys are going out and your kid dies, why are you going to sue someone because they died from water? Did they create water? Well, maybe they had a machine that was pulling people into the water. Well, if they created something to destroy, then yes. But if they're just died from water, that just sucks, okay? You can't sue them because they may not have money to do it. And then some of these rewards are ridiculous. I'm not saying suing's wrong. I just think majority of the time it's not taking into account that life is difficult. It makes shit more expensive. I do think that all companies, now I think the only purpose for laws is very few, and that comes from protection of health. Any company that is creating some also needs to properly dispose of their waste. Waste is so important that we take care of because it affects everyone. There's no excuse, and there's no price too small to properly dispose of waste, and no price too big to an extent, because this world isn't perfect. We cannot judge people for it not being perfect. So my little rant is to remind us to love, to get rid of taxation, and to what extent? I don't know the perfect answer, because I think people are looking for a yes and a no, and that's not always the truth. In what is right for a person to have weapon-wise to defend themselves? Well, if a government can have tanks, can I have a tank? I think that in a free market, I think that almost anything is feasible. I mean, can someone have mustard gas because somebody else can? Should that be something that we release on the free market? Should we as a group decide that, no, we don't want to do that because there's no good with it? So to what extent do Libertarian Party decide that something actually is chaos? We don't want just normal people just to be able to get it. Normal people being somebody goes, and then they have it. And the Libertarian Party, though they want to say everything is, I think they need to acknowledge at some point the world isn't perfect, and you have to take that into cause and effect and how you handle shit. It all changes with this. Everything changes with our intent to help people rather than destroy them. That's basically what I would comprehend to be the best of the Libertarian Party. Is you want to use your power to reward work, to help, to aid, to redeem, to forgive, and then empower people spiritually so they don't want to harm, because then they feel comforted and loved and valued. So yeah. Would I take away the rights of people to own weapons? No, I never would ever do that. That's absolutely ludicrous. Because it comes to this, should we make it, should we have maybe more testing? Well, let me ask this question first. Should people have to show who they are if they're going to vote? I fucking think so. So, now why would Democrats be against that? But then for people getting IDing to have a weapon, like why don't Democrats believe what they believe thoroughly, to value life? Because I can tell you this: parties are based in hypocrisy and judging others for what they do themselves. Say they value life, but they don't. They just want votes. And that's what I think all people need to look out for. Republicans do the same thing. Everyone kind of does it. Very few don't. Because in order to not do something, you actually have to sacrifice. And when people realize that they can vote for other people to be their slave, often they'll do it because their lives are not based on sacrifice. I could sell a product that people smoke, and I could make a lot of money from it. But I don't do it anymore, and I'm at $0. And that's difficult for me. I feel the thought to maybe do it, but every time there's no way I'm going to sell something that people smoke, even though I have zero finances. You know, it's kind of what it is. And I don't think many people are willing to sacrifice. The military should be based, I would reduce the military by like 80-90%. And then I'd have about 10%, 12% of people on full-time staff. So they would be paid through public support. And then we would have once a week where people can come in and volunteer their time to be part of some, cleaning it, preparing. Now at this point, the people would be valuable. They just want to obey orders. The problem with military is that it's based upon obeying orders rather than acknowledging the consciousness of each individual being, that they have thought, they have value, instead of just obeying orders. Now this person goes, why are we attacking them? There are students here. There are kids here. Do we really want to do this? Is this person that much of a threat that we're willing to risk their life? Well, life always has risks. So sometimes that may be yes. People don't want to hear that because people don't want to accept the reality that death is part of this world. I think the equation we all have to take in effect that pain and death are part of this world, and we try our best to eliminate pain and all. Now, death is actually liberation from pain. That really needs to be understood. For a mother that really feels uncomfortable with their baby or abortion or something's going wrong right here, at minimum, at best, and at greatest, if that child has nerves that feeling pain, we should sedate it so it doesn't feel extreme pain when it leaves Earth into heaven. Now, even if it does feel extreme pain for an hour or 2 hours, which is absolutely stupid as fuck, but this is even a conversation, in a moment they'll be in heaven, so good for them. Next thing I think to realize is that you don't know what truth is if you are just being mandated from a book. And that comes with science, comes with religion. So often we are mandated and taught over and over, force. But knowledge can be seen, can be acknowledged, felt, heard. I know that there's a spirit of God because I feel it and I see it in people. I don't have to prove it, and that's okay. And I would not try to prove anything to anyone if they don't see it. It's pretty foolish. Why do I think that 9/11 and the moon landing are both fake? It's not just because of what I see. It's because I have a deep unction, a deep feeling inside of deception there. When I tap into that, I feel the deceiver. I really do. And so it's more than just what I see. And people just spew what they hear, and they think it's right. So we got a question. I'm starting to feel better. I've been definitely starting to feel better this last month. I know I probably said in the past, but I really am taking amoxicillin, nystatin, so trying to eliminate all bacterial fungal loads in my body. I even had a little bit of beer recently that was really yummy, though I'm going to very much limit that. I'm not nearly itching my nose as much, which is good. Feeling more strength. I'm still allergic to marijuana, but not like I used to be, which is good. I think I may be needing to use, my standard may be, it's a new standard, so the material I'm using was not what I was using before, so I'm not for sure. I've just been taking little bits of flour, young flour, and just swallowing it. It's kind of cool. My plants are doing very well. I'm excited for them to be there. I'm very excited to grow poppies. I find it absolutely atrocious that we live in a world where people are so dumb in their minds that they'd be paid to harm another person for plants and flowers. And I just speak to all police officers, all military people around the world. You don't have any legal right on any planet, on any earth, to destroy someone for plants. You don't have that right. Even if someone says you have that right, even if the judge says you have it, even if people get together and agree upon it, you don't have that right. It's called inalienable rights. You have rights given to you by your Creator. That is the right of life, that you are valuable. That's why some of the fathers in the beginning wanted to even rid slavery from the get-go, because all people are valuable. But to create the nation, they kind of had to allow some of these things. And I want to make it known that not all slaves were abused. Not all of them were treated like shit. Some were actually loved as part of their family. Look, if you grew up on a farm, part of our issue is, like, looking back in history, is we have no reality now to how life used to be. Life used to only be about, like, there was no internet, there was no TV. Can you imagine that? You know, they would spend their time food, clothing, eating, sleeping, shelter. Now, if a slave was part of that family and they got all the rewards of that, they were just part of their family. Now, they might have been a little bit lesser, which is a bummer, but not all of them were beaten. Not all of them were treated like shit. You know, you look at somebody that, oh, they all had slaves. How many people work and don't want to work? You're a slave to a job so you can eat, sleep, and feed. That was just part of the system. What is the greatest thing that has changed it all? Technology. So I'm such an avid proponent for open source technology. It's because we don't realize that you are my brother and you are my sister and you are my sibling, that you are part of me. I don't really have the right to go steal something. I can't force someone to divulge to me knowledge. But if someone can replicate your knowledge, then that's it. That's the end of it. You don't own the ability to create. You don't. You know, I can tell you, you could have $1 million, you could have $1 billion, you could still be depressed and alone. The world, we have to get together. We have to be clean and cleanliness, and then love each other, and touch each other, help each other. I know I've spoken of it before, but man, monogamy is so destructive. And some of these things, I'm just going to ask people to kind of just take a leap of faith with me, at least try it. We've been doing the same structure over and over and over and over. And it's so big and it's so dilapidated, it's so cancerous that we're not even willing to try something different. What if here in America, we just tried 1 year of taxes free? Then we'd find out what we really need. And then we would fund that. Now, are there going to be evil people that don't give a damn? Yes. You know, we're still going to have rules? Yes. Well, who are going to enforce those rules? We, the people, will enforce rules. Well, who's going to be the judge? Who will pay the judges? You know what? The bills are going to be so much smaller. Things are going to be so much less funded. So we're going to have to really focus on what is valuable. And one is that anybody with plants and even drug issues, they don't belong in jail. If they need help, we need to spend that money and help people get off of something and better nutrition. I have poison ivy all over my feet. I'm quite allergic to it. I think I got it from mowing the lawn. Not the best lighting. There's much worse in the world, but geez. You can see that. Yep. I would show my wiener. That is illegal to show, for the reason of just showing the infection that I'm dealing with. And one interesting part, actually, is that there are certain videos, things are not used like an arousal, erection. Actually, then that's the only time really legally that kids and people can see penises, but it's more done in a scientific approach. That's still because we judge sexuality as evil, and that's not good. Sexuality is pleasure, but disease is evil. I'm going to keep saying that. And there is no age at which pleasure is wrong. Now, many people are going to come up against this really destructive spirit, this really aggressive one. And when you feel this, you got to acknowledge that is what someone's saying, is what Christopher is saying, just him saying that pleasure is not wrong, despite of age. Now, does that give me the right to become violent? Why do I feel violent? What is pleasure? Why am I fighting pleasure? Who is giving me these emotions? And I know the world has to realize that they're not in charge of their emotions, that you often are presented like a lab rat an emotion. It's pushed upon you. So you got to challenge it. Sometimes you're going out and you just feel animosity, you feel hatred, you feel rage, you feel all these evil thoughts of someone. You got to stop. You got to question that thought and say, no, I choose to love someone. I choose not to judge someone. I'm not going to judge nudity. I'm not going to judge sexuality. And we got to really refrain the police. And there may be times actually where they need more power. I think probably many of them would agree. But ultimately, it comes down to this. What has to be the essence, the center of what we do, to be to love our neighbor and to even help our enemy. It's not right for an officer to shoot another person just because they have a gun when the officer has a gun. Why do we give rights to people like this government? It's such. You guys, you're not believing reality. You're not believing value. You're saying this person is more valuable because they work for the government. And no one's more valuable because they work. There is no such thing. It's just a business. The police force, I heard, originated with sedating slavery in the South. And then it birthed out of that. I'm slowing that down. I haven't read too much into that. I've just heard that a couple times. So we'll need a whole new structure for judges. I just want to encourage everyone to teach knowledge, teach wisdom. If you really know something that other people don't, you have to create an internet structure that's not bombarded with just to the point of the greatest, fastest, smartest knowledge we can get, where anything can be talked about, anything can be questioned. When somebody strongly disagrees with you, just because it's not what they think, that makes me want to press into it more. If people become angry because you question something, I just want to press into it more. If they call you names, if they call you stupid. The point of science is that you can test and see and prove it to be. Religions don't allow that. A lot of intellectual people don't allow you to question their knowledge. The school system doesn't allow you to bring in different ways of thought. I think whose idea was it for us to use Common Core math, was it? Like, what is that? Why? Why are we doing that? Why are we forcing one way? Who's in charge here? That's why the government's so shit, because they just mandate things. Very, very few things in the world should be mandated. Very few. Only ones that have to do with health and wellness. The world's not perfect, but we need better technology. There's not a perfect answer to here. I'm not pretending like there is. We have to allow there to be death. There just is. Death exists. And I think it's important that we have other media sources out there for news. Our current media sources, they really, they just get together in their groups. They think, okay, what can we bring up? What can we talk about? And then just force it. This is what we want to hear. This is what you want to hear. This is what you want to hear. And then they create sheep out of you guys. And they create enemies. Oh, these are the good guys. These are the bad guys. Not one of them is talking about banks. They're so evil. If I were to just print money from nothing, I would go to jail. If banks are encouraged to do it, I don't think people believe me, but they really do. And how did this ever happen? How is there not a revolt that these men and women are stealing because they have the legal rights to do it, because they signed the right paperwork? Who's in charge of this planet besides chaos and stupidity? I am not against death. I'm not against it. I'm not against, if people are really in a lot of pain and they want to go, I think that's awesome. We should let them go. If we have miracles and power to love, that's amazing. I mean, if heaven shows up, that'll change. That'll change all this. I'm just sharing on the fact that, like, Earth as it is at the moment. if anything, even if these videos don't really get watched, it helps me practice, learn what I think maybe a bit more, how to speak it out, and trying not to. My vocabulary is so limited. I'm looking for these words and I can't find them. It's not good. As a speaker, these are a few knowledgeable ways to speak better. Look at this language. Is one. Try not to use filler words. And you don't have to always be making a sound. And 2, attempt to use different words than you usually do. Stay away from things, even though I use it. I think it's just because we really are lacking. But man, I'm really trying to spit out some shit here. My mind is fucked. I'm very limited by, like, I have these ideas like, and then I'm trying to filter it through. There's no rush, no one's watching. So I feel a rush for time's sake to make something happen, to keep people entertained. I think I need to do this for my own pleasure and awareness. I think a lot. What am I saying there? I say a lot. When something has cancer on a part of a body, or it's so far gone, what do they do? We have a certain disease that unless you amputate it, will kill the rest of the body. So what do you end up doing? You cut it. The American company called the government, which grabs its money through thievery, and if it doesn't get enough money, it just prints more, which erodes currency, is the reason we don't have our valued coins. When it is sick, it just hires more people, thinking that bringing on more sugar into the diet will somehow cure the cancer. No one, like, it's hard to government, because they're put there only by vote, is willing to incredibly limit the size of government because they're afraid of losing their job. And they don't want to be the person to stop paying someone. Once we get rid of all thievery, the government as it exists will cease to be. But we're still going to need certain shit to be done right. Plumbing, roads to an extent. We're going to have a lot of buildings. So how do we educate the education? I know that the people I would not get rid of are the janitors. Anybody who does cleanliness, cleaning the streets, cleaning the roads, cleaning the water, those jobs would stay automatically. And they could be better, a lot better. It's kind of funny to think that in school, that I would say, okay, teachers, your job is done, but the sanitation guys would not be done. You know why? Just guess. What's the effects of science? It's when knowledge put into play. Someone has to clean up this stuff. If not, it's going to be shit. Someone has to take care of the building. There will be no building. If someone open up the building so people can teach. We're going to forgive debts. We're going to change the whole way of structure of the world from one of competition to one of working together, to one of fighting our enemies, to one of loving our enemies, while carrying an Uzi if we need to. You can love your enemy without letting them attack you. It's actually easier to love an enemy if they know that they can't harm you. All right. Any other thoughts? I'm poor as a motherfucker. And I'm at a point where I've broken my own rule to always provide for my family if I'm with them. not. That's a bummer. I have no idea if or when I'll become famous. To summarize, this world's afraid of trying something different. Because who will do this? Who has all these what will take care of it? And in order to bring something new, I have to have something to replace it. So I can bring a sort of peace that people can transition into. And there will be perfect currency that anyone can utilize. Instead of this Forex corrupt finances where any government can print and fuck up the money for the rest of the world. We already have a world currency. People don't realize that. They're stupid. They don't understand how the money system works. That's probably the greatest problem. It is sad that people think socialism is a good idea. We already have socialism going on. And this is the effect of so much of it. Not just that, I mean, there's evil. I'm just keep saying the same shit. And we need Jesus and me to wake up. And yeah, start delivering people, be healthy. I want to start having sex with a lot of people. I think maybe even, who knows, if I had a new body, it wouldn't be sex, it'd be something way greater. Stop demonizing sex, y'all. Stop judging it. I command you guys, stop judging sexuality. You're not very smart if you do. This world is so broken, man. Leaves are falling. I just started. I'm gonna go take care of my plants. I need knowledge. I need intelligence. I need power.